Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you've ever been on a long, lonely stretch of highway late at night, you know how comforting the crackle of a CB radio can be. But what happens when that crackle turns sinister, when the static starts to whisper your name? Tonight, we're diving into some of the most chilling trucker stories out there, all centered on that lifeline of the open road, Channel 19. These aren't your typical ghost stories. These are tales of auditory terror, where the voices on the other end aren't from any rig on the road. Our first story comes from a veteran driver named Dave. He was hauling a load through the desolate plains of Nebraska, the kind of drive where the road hypnotizes you. It was well past midnight, and the airwaves were dead silent. Then, it started, a faint static, slowly growing louder. Dave fiddled with the squelch, thinking it was just atmospheric interference. But through the noise, a sound emerged. It was music. Old-timey, carnival music, like from a broken-down carousel. It played for maybe 30 seconds, then cut out, replaced by a child's giggle. Dave's blood ran cold. He grabbed the mic, asking if anyone was messing around on the channel. The only reply was that same chilling giggle, this time seemingly right in his ear, before the radio went completely dead for the rest of the night. He never heard it again, but he swears he still gets goosebumps whenever he drives that stretch of I-80. Next, we have a story that blurs the line between a prank and something far more unsettling. A driver named Mike was parked at a truck stop in rural Pennsylvania, trying to get some sleep. His CB was on, volume low, just for a bit of background noise. Suddenly, a voice cut through the silence, clear as day. "There's a black dog in the lot," it said. Just that, no handle, no call sign. Mike peeked out his window, but saw nothing. A few minutes later, the same voice. "The black dog is near the red truck." Mike looked again. Sure enough, a big, dark shape was sniffing around a red Peterbilt a few rows down. It looked like a stray. The voice came back, its tone growing more urgent. "The black dog is getting closer. Lock your doors." Mike's heart started pounding. He checked his locks. The voice then said, "The black dog is at your door." Mike froze, too scared to look. He heard a scratching sound on his driver's side door. Then, the voice on the radio let out a blood-curdling scream that distorted the speaker, followed by absolute silence. The next morning, there were deep scratch marks on his door, but no dog, and no one at the truck stop admitted to hearing a thing. Our final story is perhaps the most terrifying. It's about the phenomenon some drivers call the echo. A young trucker was making his first solo cross-country trip. He was nervous, and to pass the time, he was chatting with his dispatcher on the phone, relaying his position as he drove through the mountains of Colorado. He signed off, saying, "All right, talk to you in a few hours." He hung up and reached for his coffee. That's when his CB crackled to life. A distorted, electronic voice, an almost perfect mimic of his own, came through the speaker. "All right, talk to you in a few hours." It was his own voice, repeating the last thing he said on the phone. For the next hour, the radio would randomly broadcast snippets of his past phone conversations, a digital ghost replaying his words. It even repeated a private conversation he'd had with his wife earlier that day. He was so freaked out, he pulled over and unplugged the entire unit, driving the rest of the way in unnerving silence. What do you think? Are these just elaborate hoaxes? Or is there something supernatural lurking in the frequencies of our nation's highways? Have you ever heard anything strange over the radio late at night? Drop your own stories in the comments below. I'd love to read them. If you enjoyed these chilling tales from the road, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that will make you question the world around you. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching. I've been driving long haul for 17 years. Seen everything from blizzards in Montana to dust storms in Arizona. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for what happened on I-80 through Nebraska last March. It started around 2 a.m. I was pushing through to make my delivery window in Omaha, running on truck stop coffee and spite. The highway was empty, just me and the endless stretch of asphalt cutting through cornfields that hadn't been planted yet. Dead land, that's what I remember thinking. Everything looked dead. I had channel 19 on like always the truckers channel. Usually there's chatter, even at this hour, guys complaining about way stations, someone asking about road conditions, maybe a bored driver singing off-key. But that night, pure static. I reached for the dial, figuring my CB was acting up again, when a voice cut through. Breaker 19. This is Phantom Rider. Got a convoy forming up at mile marker 312. Anyone want in? The voice was strange, flat, emotionless, like someone reading from a script they'd memorized but never understood. Still, convoy driving is safer, especially through the empty stretches. I checked my GPS. Mile marker 312 was about 15 miles ahead. This is Iron Horse, I responded. I'll join up. What's your 20? Static. Then, we're waiting. We're always waiting. The hairs on my neck stood up. But I told myself it was just a weird driver with a weird sense of humor. You meet all types on the road. I saw the trucks at mile marker 312, 4 of them, running lights on, pulled over on the shoulder. Old rigs, and I mean old. Models from the 70s and 80s, before electronics took over everything. They looked maintained though, chrome gleaming under my headlights as I approached. I pulled up behind them, engine idling, and grabbed my CB handset. Iron Horse here. Ready when you are. All 4 trucks pulled back onto the highway in perfect synchronization. Not a single driver looked back or acknowledged me. Their brake lights never flickered. They just moved. We drove, mile after mile through the darkness. I tried raising them on the radio several times, but got only static in response. Occasionally, underneath the white noise, I'd hear something else. Whispers, dozens of them, overlapping, like a crowd murmuring, just below hearing range. Then, at mile marker 387, I noticed something impossible. The truck directly in front of me, a faded blue Kenworth with rust patches, had the same license plate as mine. Same state, same numbers, same renewal sticker. I blinked hard, certain I was seeing things, but no. It was identical. Channel 19. This is Iron Horse. We got a problem here. The Kenworth ahead of me is. The static erupted into screaming. Not one voice. Hundreds, thousands, men, women, children, all screaming in perfect, terrible harmony. The sound was so loud it distorted, my CB speaker crackling with the volume. I yanked the handset away from my ear, but I could still hear it, loud as a train horn. And underneath the screaming, a single voice, join the convoy, join us, join us, join US. I slammed my brakes. The convoy ahead continued at exactly 65 miles per hour, pulling away. As they disappeared around a curve, I saw something that made my blood freeze. Inside each cab, illuminated by their dashboard lights, I could see the drivers. They sat perfectly still, hands at 10 and 2, staring straight ahead, and their mouths were open, wide open, screaming. The CB went silent. I sat there on the shoulder for 20 minutes, hands shaking, before I could move again. When I finally worked up the nerve to keep driving, I passed mile marker 312 again, the same mile marker where I joined the convoy 55 miles back. I checked my GPS. According to it, I'd driven 110 miles in that convoy, but I was right back where I'd started, like I'd been driving in a loop that shouldn't exist on a straight highway. When I got to Omaha, I was 6 hours late. My GPS log showed me stop on the shoulder at mile marker 312 for all that time, just stopped, but I have a dash cam. I checked the footage. It shows me driving, following for trucks that don't appear on camera. For 6 hours, I'm driving behind nothing, talking to my CB, responding to voices that don't show up on audio. And at the 3 hours, 47 minutes and 22 seconds mark, you can see me screaming, mouth wide open, eyes forward, hands at 10 and 2, just like the others. I don't drive I-80 through Nebraska anymore, but sometimes, late at night on other empty highways, My CB will crackle to life with that flat, emotionless voice. Breaker 19. This is Phantom Rider. Got a convoy forming up. Anyone want in? And underneath the static, I can hear myself screaming.